Hey guys, it's Saga from TechWorks, and I finally have the detailed camera review of the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. You guys have been asking me to make this video since even before I got this phone, but I was holding it off until ASUS released a software update which adds AI scene detection mode to the rear cameras and portrait mode for the front-facing cameras on this phone. A few days back, ASUS pushed out a software update which brought some improvements to the camera and added a portrait mode for the selfie camera. This update did not bring AI scene detection mode for the rear camera, but I decided to make this video anyways since a lot of you are waiting to know about its camera performance before making your purchase decision. Out of the dual cameras at the back, primary camera has a 12 megapixel sensor with f1.8 aperture and each individual pixel has a size of 1.25 micron. Secondary camera has a 5 megapixel depth sensor with f2.4 aperture and an individual pixel size of 1.12 micron. You cannot switch between these two lenses, and the secondary lens is only there for capturing the depth information for portrait shots. At the front, there is a 13 megapixel camera with f2.2 aperture and an individual pixel size of 1.12 micron. You also get a dedicated LED flash for taking selfies in very low lighting situations. Interface of the camera app is extremely basic, and to be honest, it feels half-baked to me. It lacks many basic options like the ability to turn on grid, adjust exposure, shoot slow motion or time-lapse videos and so on. And I really hope ASUS will fix this app with future software updates. You get the option to shoot 4K 30fps videos, and 1080p videos do get electronic stabilization, so those are few nice things. With that out of the way, let us now move to the image and video samples from this phone. But before that, just make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the amazing videos coming up on this channel. Normally we start with daylight images, but for this video, let us change things a bit and start with Max Pro M2's video performance first. It allows you to shoot 4K 30fps videos. Colors are a bit saturated while shooting 4K. This is something that we see in many phones, and some people like it and some people don't. There is no electronic stabilization while shooting 4K videos. 1080p 30fps videos are electronically stabilized, and due to that reason, they are a bit cropped in when compared to 4K videos. But the colors while shooting at 1080p are balanced and natural, which is how I prefer them over the saturated colors while shooting 4K videos. These videos are not of very high bitrate, but they are detailed and do look good when you take them in ample light. Camera app on this phone does not give you options to take slow motion or time-lapse videos. Now coming to the daylight images. The 12 megapixel primary camera captures lot of details. Cameras on this phone are a huge improvement compared to the Zenfone Max Pro M1 which came out earlier this year. Even as we zoom in on these images, they seem to hold a lot of details. Colors are good and natural in all lighting situations while you're shooting with the auto mode, which is how I believe most people shoot their images. There is a bit less contrast when you start shooting in bright light and have the HDR mode turned on. Speaking of the HDR mode, it does bring up a lot of details from the shadows while preserving the highlights at the same time. And as you can see, it is especially impressive in these situations. It did not bring out too many details from the shadows in these particular images, but for the price at which it comes in, it did an excellent job of bringing back so much information from the brighter parts of the images. If you take these images with the auto mode, there is almost no information in the brighter areas. So whenever you are in bright lighting conditions, just make sure to use the HDR mode and it will make your images a lot better. Right now, I'm not sure if this camera is better, worse, or same as the Redmi Note 6 Pro. But to answer this question, I will be making a video comparing the cameras on both these phones, so make sure you have turned on the notifications for this channel. That way, you will get notified as soon as the video goes live. Here is a focusing test before we move on to the close-up and macro shots. It is fast and accurate at switching the focus from far to near objects and then back again. Changing the focus quickly is important for shooting videos, but it is equally or maybe more important while taking close-up and macro shots. Close-up images from the Max Pro M2 look really good. The subject is in perfect sharp focus, and thanks to the wide f1.8 aperture, background in all of these close-up shots is blurred out very nicely. Speaking of the background being blurred out, Max Pro M2 lets you take portrait shots as well. This is where secondary 5 megapixel depth sensor comes into play. For the most part, it is accurate at detecting the edges and separating the subject from the background. You also get the option to adjust the amount of blur while you are taking the image. And it gives good results even when you are shooting in indoor or lower lighting conditions. That being said, it is not perfect and it definitely needs some refinements via software updates. While shooting these images, it misses out certain areas around your subject. Like in these images, it struggled to detect and blur the areas under my arm. It's a minor issue, and I'm sure ASUS can refine and fix it with a future software update. Just like with humans, it can take portrait mode images of objects as well. I think it's a bit more accurate while detecting the edges of these non-human subjects. Again, the background is blurred out very nice and evenly, and the overall images look really good. Now let's move on to the images from indoor, artificial and lower lighting situations. These are the situations where the Max Pro M1 really struggled, but the Max Pro M2 does a much better job. While you're shooting in these situations, just make sure to switch to auto or night mode, because if you leave the camera in HDR mode, chances are you will be ending up with lot of blurry images. Colors and detail levels are good in these situations as well. But since it does not have OIS and size of each individual pixel is not as big as some of the other phones, it has to increase the ISO in these situations, and that brings in some noise in these low light images. It is also not the best at handling the exposure from bright lights when you are taking images like these. But you will still have to rely on the camera app itself to take better images, as there is no exposure adjustment in the auto mode. You can go to the Pro mode and adjust the ISO, exposure and shutter speed to make the images look better, but I understand that many people who get these budget smartphones are not too keen on playing with the manual settings, and in those cases, they might be a bit dissatisfied in these conditions. Don't get me wrong, the cameras on this phone are really good and there is no issue with that. But the camera app itself is a bit limiting and it doesn't let us take the full advantage of these cameras. That brings us to the front-facing cameras. This 13 megapixel sensor can take sharp and detailed selfies. And again, it's a huge improvement over the front-facing camera of the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M1. Colors are good and accurate, and for the most part, it handles the dynamic range very well. Unless you are taking selfies right against the sun, like I did with this image. But I would have to say, even with the sun blowing all the highlights in the background, this camera did very well to capture a lot of details from my face and from the shadows of my t-shirt. Low light selfies are a lot softer in comparison, but you do get a flash or a torch to help you take better selfies when the light is very low. With the latest software update, ASUS added portrait mode to the front-facing camera. And this camera is good at detecting the edges and separating the subject from the background. Colors and dynamic range is also good in these portrait selfies. And I think the portrait mode on the front-facing camera of this phone is better than the portrait mode on the rear cameras. Here's a video from the front-facing camera of the ASUS Zenfone Max Pro M2. It's a big name. It's very bright outside, so you can see how this phone is handling the exposure of the skin, overall colors of the background, and stabilization when I'm walking around with it. Due to electronic stabilization, there is a big crop in the video from the front-facing camera. So after looking at all the image and video samples, it is clear that the Zenfone Max Pro M2 has got a very good set of cameras. Cameras not being good or up to the mark was #1 complaint or concern of people who got or were thinking of getting the Max Pro M1. So it's really good to see ASUS backing up this new phone with an impressive set of cameras. If you are on the fence while making decision about this phone, let this video be the slight push you needed in favor of this phone. Max Pro M2 has a good design, good set of cameras, is powered by a Snapdragon 660 processor and backed up by a massive 5000 mAh battery. And I think this might be the perfect mid-range smartphone that many of you are looking for. In this video, we saw that the cameras on this phone are really good. But are they good enough to be compared to the likes of the Redmi Note 6 Pro or even the Mi A2? I will be answering this question in one of my upcoming videos, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Alright, with that out of the way, what do you guys think about the camera on this phone? Do let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.